In 80 Days, adventurer and award-winning filmmaker Paul G. Roberts retraces the global footsteps of Phileas Fogg, hero of Jules Verne's most famous work.
Finally got into London after what would have to have been one of the most brutal bouts of jet lag I've ever had. I think it gets harder the older I get. Anyway, it's Thursday morning, just a little bit after 9 o'clock, and I'm here in one of London's famous pubs. I think it's called the Smith and Turner, and they're doing a full English breakfast here. Yeah, the trip in, my God. I had to get up at like 4 o'clock in the morning from Newark in New Jersey, which is just not a nice place. And my stomach was killing me, I couldn't eat. But for some reason I couldn't sleep either. So literally no sleep, up at 4 o'clock, into the airport. The flight itself wasn't too bad, pretty uneventful, but I couldn't really eat anything. Departure lounge. Then when I got in at like 8 or 9 o'clock that night, I was wiped out. I lost my bag. I spent some time running around trying to find where my case was. Then finally in a taxi and into a quaint little kind of like bed and breakfast place without the breakfast. And here I am. And London is charming as I remember it. Sun's up. It's a beautiful fall morning, autumn morning. And we're on one of the high streets in Earl's Court. Looking forward to a great day. I'm here on Earl's Court Road, first morning in London. And I gotta say, it's really good to be back in a city where people actually live. God, I don't know what my memories of New York were like, when I lived there. But this experience has confirmed to me that, people in New York, some of them thrive, some of them barely survive. but they don't really live there. It's not a place where you live. Even though this is, Chelsea, and it's in a trendy inner city suburb of London, it's a place where you get to live. There's a nice pub here, it's cozy, not too ridiculously priced. I'm on my 8th passport. I've been on a lot of planes and a lot of legs to various places. But I gotta say, now that I'm older, I really think it has a bigger effect on your metabolism, your well-being, your mental state, when you get crushed. Even though I've been flying business class on this journey, man, the jet lag's been brutal. From Sydney to LA, it was brutal. From LA to New York, it was brutal. And from Newark to London last night, it was so brutal. Can't imagine it. I haven't been able to eat the last few days because my stomach has been killing me. My head's been scrambled. I haven't been able to turn off my brain when I've been trying to go to sleep. But thankfully, after a bit of persistence, I did get some decent sleep last night and woke up relatively refreshed in the time zone here. And it's just early morning on a Thursday. It's gone 9 o'clock. I've had some breakfast, had a coffee, I'm feeling human again. I'm here in what's the very centre of London, Trafalgar Square. And this city is the capital of what was once the greatest empire the world had ever seen. It's played many roles through its history, but what really lies beneath the face of London? What is it like today in 2022? And how did that compare to 1872 when Jules Verne's Around the World in 80 Days was first published? I want to know. I want to get an idea of this special place, which are immersed in living culture and traditions. I want to understand why the locals here revere and adore living in this great metropolis of London. Nelson's column. Trafalgar Square. Commemorating a mighty battle between England, the French and the Spanish. And many say this is the centre of London, which is originally a Roman settlement. The famous symbol of Britain, the mighty lion. Now, Trafalgar Square is a public square in the city of Westminster, central London. And it's built around the area that was formerly known as Charing Cross. Its name commemorates the famous Battle of Trafalgar, which the British Navy took place in the Napoleonic Wars against Spain and France. It was a double teaming effort, and Britain came out on top. And obviously it was off the coast of Cape Trafalgar. And it's been a significant landmark to celebrate the naval battle ever since. And the site originally contained the King's Mews, so it's a very significant place in London. I'm here in Trafalgar Square, and I'm here because it's something very special, something very significant for London. And I don't mean the statue of Nelson, statue of Charles I, and it's set apart in the south side of the square on a particularly lonely island. And it is said that is the epicentre of the city of London, the same Londinium that was settled by the Romans as the very first inhabited enclave. And it's from here, like concentric circles of an onion, the city of London spans out. Essentially, the entire structure of London is based around that original settlement, that Roman settlement, for what was then known as Londinium. And it's from there that the city is spread out in concentric circles, much like the rings of an onion. Now, Trafalgar Square is a public square right in the very heart of London. It's in the city of Westminster, central London, and it's built around the area that was formerly known as Charing Cross. Its name commemorates the famous Battle of Trafalgar, a British naval victory in the Napoleonic Wars with France and Spain that took place on the 21st of October 1805 off the coast of Cape Trafalgar in Spain. The City of London was founded by the Romans, and their rule extended from right back from 43 AD to the 5th century AD, when the Roman Empire actually fell. During the 3rd century, Londinium, which was the name given to London by the Romans, had a population of 50,000 people, and it was mainly due to the importance of it being a seaport on the Thames River. Buckingham Palace is the most famous and most visited attraction in all of London. Home to the reigning monarch of the United Kingdom, the elegant palace attracts hundreds of thousands of tourists every single day of the year. Well, I'm here in Westminster, outside Buckingham Palace. Now, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth is no longer in residence anymore, and King Charles is soon to be coronated, who will take over the leadership of the firm. There's one word that sums up, I guess, the United Kingdom over all the other mega cities of the world. It would have to be tradition, history, and the monarchy. I know when Jules Verne released his book in 1876, Queen Victoria was on the throne and head of the mightiest empire the world has ever seen. It made the Roman Empire pale in comparison, and every other empire since. Now, apparently, because the flag is at full mast in the palace behind me, that indicates that the reigning monarch, which I'm imagining is now soon to be King Charles after he's coronated, is in residence. Don't know where his dopey brother Andrew is. I know where he should be. In jail with Ghislaine Maxwell. So what about the Queen? What do you make of that?
Did I say? Personally, I love the royal family. I'm a royalist.
Even the scallywags like Andrew?
No, I must admit, no, not Andrew.
He's not very lovable.
I do like the Queen, and okay, there's a lot of debate on now King Charles as well.
Yeah.
I suppose it goes back to Diana 25 years ago. A lot of it is that. But I do believe that William and Kate will, a lot of the younger generation coming through, I think they really do respect them. I'm not really sure about the Harry and Meghan situation. I think she's getting a lot of bad press at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's justified or not. I don't know enough, but I don't know the truth. What's the story behind it? You know, it just seems to me that whatever she does, she can't do no right anyway.
And what about how did the Londoners handle Andrew and all these bullshit?
Well, they don't like him. You know,
no one likes him. How can you like him?
We all know deep down, it's what he was doing. We all know he was a liar. We all know. You've got to feel sorry for the Queen as well, haven't you? Because she's only tried to protect her son, which probably most mums and parents would do.
Yeah, even if he's a pedophile, child trafficker.
Yeah, yeah.
Hard to come back from that one.
Yeah.
You know, you could murder your grandmother, steal a pension, bitter, that sort of stuff doesn't wash. I'm just here outside Buckingham Palace, next to St James Park. It's one of the amazing lush parklands that the royalty have maintained right throughout London. Apparently there's 8,000 acres of these pristine parklands. And there's a reason that they've maintained them, because the kings and queens of England have long had a history of swanning around, not just in Range Rovers, but on another means of transportation, on horseback. Yes, the royal family loves their horses, and horses need somewhere to go, hence the parks. This whole parkland behind me, St James Park, was once the private parkland of King Charles II. He used to stroll about the grounds with his mistresses, and on occasion when it got too hot, they'd take a dip into the canals. I'm just down here from Buckingham Palace, next to St James Park. As you know, St James Park is synonymous with the royalty. It's some 8,000 acres of parkland in pristine condition. And the whole area was reserved for deer hunting. That's right, it kind of goes back to the Robin Hood days of Nottingham Forest, that the royalty preserved all the good stuff for themselves. So there's 8,000 acres of open land. It used to be a private deer reserve for the royal family to go on their hunts with. And even today, anybody can still take a horse into Hyde Park, St James Park, and the other green spaces. Now I'm told riding a horse, and I have ridden horses, that it's a great form of exercise, particularly considering that royalty prefers to exercise when they can sit down. And riding around here, in what is called Bottom's Row, is a perfect example of how the whims of royalty shaped all of London. It was here King William III, at the end of the 17th century, created the very first lit street in the entire world. Yes, that's it. When William built the road, he created the first lamp-lit road in history. And he employed a man whose sole job was to get up bright and early before dawn every day, light all the lamps, and then turn them out later that evening.
Riding in St James Park, there's a place called Rotten Row, which is called Rotten Row because of the feces from all the animals that used to live here, the horses, the deer, the wildlife. In Regent's Park behind me, at any one point in time, I'm told that you'll find as many as half a dozen horses. And apparently in the City of London, there are between 200 and 300 horses that currently live and are used. Mostly for decoration, I guess, but some of them might be, for formal use and the like. In Edwardian times, however, there were 200,000 horses. That's a lot of horses dropping urine and feces in a park the size of the one behind me.
And who said Uber took over the world? London cabs still exist, right? In effect. Let's do it. Rush hour in London starts about 7 a.m. when the people there are all ready to go to work. And everybody decides who are over there, they decide that they need to go over there. And all the people over there decide they need to be over here. One of the biggest rush hours in one of the biggest cities in the world commences. 3 million separate journeys every day, in each 15 minutes leading up until 9 a.m. 200,000 people are crammed into London's underground every 15 minutes. 200,000 buses ferry people around London's 2,000 miles of streets, just so they can earn a living. Here, the average commuter travels the equivalent of 2.5 times around the planet each year, just to get to work. Cool Britannia was the name given to the increased period of pride in the culture of the United Kingdom through the mid and second half of the 1990s. It was when Britpop exploded, and it was inspired by the swinging London of the 1960s pop culture. No question, from the Beatles to Britpop to today's Harry Styles, Great Britain, and in particularly London, has given the world some of the most coolest popular culture references in the fields of music, art, design, and fashion.
London Fashion Week took place in Somerset House in central London. But in the last few years, there's been a lot of experimentation with off-site productions, and they've changed regularly to show attendees the different facets of the British capital. Some iconic locations include Gucci's 2016 show at none other than Westminster Abbey. Some iconic locations also included Preen by Thornton Bragazi's show at the London City Hall, or Burberry's 2017 show at the old Sessions House in Clerkenwell. Now, every September and February, the world's fashion pack assemble in London after New York Fashion Week that just precedes it. And organised by a non-profit organisation, the British Fashion Council, together with sponsors such as Mercedes-Benz, the London Fashion Week presents collections from over 250 designers to an international audience through hosting catwalk shows, designer showrooms and static presentations. And it's big business. Everything that sort of works its way down from the couturiers to the elite, fashion boutiques, through the department stores to the mass merchandisers, right down to the discount and variety stores. It's all one giant ecosystem. And at the very pinnacle, it's the Fashion Week, which is kind of like their equivalent of Formula One when it comes to automobiles.
I just work so much these days that, and sometimes you sit back and you wonder what you're doing it for. Because I've never been a one to look for fame or adulation amongst people.
Now, you will know some of the iconic, legendary designers who made their bones on London Fashion Week, including the late, great Alexander McQueen, the notorious John Galliano, the late and inimitable and legendary punk princess, godmother, Dame Vivienne Westwood, and there's many more. Brands such as Burberry included. I'm here outside of Selfridges, one of the major department stores in the world. It rivals anything on the planet, and it houses every major English and international brand. The English fashion business, where their London Fashion Week has just finished, is one of the most vibrant and creative on the planet. They gave birth to the names like Alexander McQueen, Vivienne Westwood, John Galliano, and many of the high street brands that are now also as famous as any on the planet. Brands like Burberry, so many others. And in 2022, the revenue of the apparel market in the UK was estimated to be just under £55 billion, just marginally less than the last year. Understandable because of COVID and the like. But in 2026, it's projected to reach upwards of £65 billion. You can forget New York City, you can forget Hong Kong, you can forget even Shanghai. London is now the reigning supremo of
of the international financial centres. The UK is the highest net exporter of financial services, and London, with its convenient time zones and use of English language and feather-light restrictions, has become the financial capital of the world. And various cities, including Venice and Amsterdam, who have once held that title and lost it throughout history. Now, London's role in the world financial system has historical roots. At the end of the 19th century, more than half the world's trade was financed in London in British currency, pound sterling. And in the early 20th century, the city played a more modest role as banker to the British Empire and the sterling of trading nations. It remained a global presence, thanks to the Eurobond markets in the 1950s and the deregulation of capital and securities markets in the 1980s. London's primary financial district is actually a city unto itself, kind of like the Vatican in Rome. Known as the City of London, it was established a few years after the Roman invasion in AD 50, going back that long. And it's on the north bank of the River Thames, and even has its own mayor and governing body called the City of London Corporation. Like other ports, commerce flourished in the city and drew merchants and entrepreneurs from all over the world. Historian Peter Borsey says that London's population went from 50,000 to 60,000 in the 1520s to 1 million by the end of the 18th century. Between 1650 and 1750, with the input of 1 million immigrants, or 8,000, with the input of 8,000 immigrants a year, according to historical demographer Tony Wrigley, these merchants established guilds and wielded great influence and power. They were able to secure autonomy and special freedoms rights for the residents and the businesses in the area that they still enjoy to this very day. The merchants went into banking and developed the sector. The Bank of England, which stands in the middle of the city, was once a private corporation started by merchants in 1694 during the 9-Day War to help fund the government's military efforts, and it received various long-term privileges and eventually became a monopoly.